All right, we're going to be looking at Geometry B, Unit 7, the unit activity. So instead of going through the actual questions, I'm going to give an example, and hopefully that'll help you doing the actual question. And so all this is asking you is if we are able to find the area of a triangle if we don't know the lengths yet. So it's going to be a triangle that we need to find the base and height for first, since our equation of the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. We need the base and the height in order to find the area. So we're not given that, so we're going to find that. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? This is not the question, this is just an example. Let's say we have point A, which is 3, 3, and we have point B, which is 5, 8, and we have point C, which is 2, 4, and together these three coordinates make a triangle. So what we're going to do first, and I'm going to be pretty much going in the questions that are on your activity. The first thing it wants you to find, so we're gonna end up with a triangle that looks something like this, where we have B, we have C, and we have A. And so it wants us to first find a line that is going through point B that is perpendicular to CA. So this is our base. And what we're trying to find is our height. Okay, so, and then they're going to tell us later that this intersects to form point D. So we first want to find the equation that goes through B that's perpendicular to AC. So in order to find a slope that is perpendicular to AC, we first need to find the slope of AC. Okay, so the slope of AC is what we're going to find first. Remember, the slope is the change of y over the change of x, and so in this case, let's do x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to do 4 minus 3, those are the change of y's, and then 2 minus 3, that's the change of x's, and so we get 1 over -1, so my slope is -1. So now that's my slope of AC. So my slope of BD is going to be perpendicular to that. So it's the opposite reciprocal. So we change the sign to be positive, and if we flip this fraction, we're just going to end up with 1 over 1 again. So my slope is just going to be 1. So that makes it easier in this case. In your activity, it's not going to be as easy. It'll be different numbers. And so now we just found the slope, but we haven't found the equation of BD yet, just the slope of BD. But what we have is this point. We have B is 5, 8, and we have the slope of that line. So we're going to use the point slope formula, and so that's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Here, the x's and the y's right here stay the same, but we plug in x1 and y1 from point B, and we plug in m, which is our slope. So we're going to have y minus, now remember this is x and this is y. So y minus 8 equals our slope of positive 1 times x minus 5 from up here. And so y minus 8 equals x minus 5. Once we distribute that 1, which does nothing, we're going to add 8 to both sides, and we end up with y equals x plus 3 as our equation of BD. Okay. So we have part A. So that's the equation of BD. Okay, so y equals x plus 3. Now, we need to find D. Okay, so once again, our triangle looks something like that. C, A, we just got this, which was D. So we found B, D, the equation of that is y equals x plus 3. And now, in order to find D, D is the intersection of BD and the intersection of CA. So we're going to set the two equations of those lines equal to each other to find the intersection point. So we're going to have y equals x plus 3. That's going to be equal to, now we need the equation of AC. So we can use point slope formula for that as well. So remember that A was equal to 3, 3. and we know the slope of that line is -1. And so we're going to do y minus 3 equals -1, x minus 3. And so we get y minus 3 equals -x plus 3. We're going to add 3 to both sides, and we get y equals -x plus 6. So that's what this has to be equal to, -x plus 6. So now we're going to just drop the y's, and we're going to do x plus 3 equals -x plus 6. To solve this, we are going to, let's add x to both sides. So we get 2x plus 3 equals 6. Subtract 3 from both sides, 2x equals 3. X equals 3 over 2. And so that is our x coordinate of the intersection point, which is D. And now we need to find the y coordinate, so that's helpful. Now what we're going to do is we can take either one of our equations, BD, so we can take BD or AC to plug in x into. It doesn't matter which one, it'll both give us that same point. So let's go ahead and use BD. Y equals 3/2, we're plugging in that x that we just found into the x in the equation, plus 3. So y equals, let's write this as a fraction, 3 is equal to 6 over 2. So 3 over 2 plus 6 over 2 is 9 over 2. So now we just found our x and our y coordinate of that intersection point D, which is 3, 2. So this is D. 3, 2, 9, 2. Okay, so we found D. Now for the next part, so 3/2 and 9/2, the next part we're going to be finding the length of the base and the height using the distance formula. So remember that the distance formula is the square root of x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So to find the distance, let's say of CA first, we know that A is 3, 3, and we know that C is 2, 4. We know that D is 3/2, 9/2, and we know that B is 5, 8. Okay, so now you're just going to plug those into this formula here. So I'm going to just show one. The length of AC is equal to the square root of, okay, so the x of A was 3, and then the x of C was 2. So 3 minus 2 squared plus, the y of A was also 3. And the y of C was 4 squared. So we're going to get 1 squared, so square root of 1 squared plus -1 squared. So that is 1 squared is 1, -1 squared is also 1, so we get the square root of 2. So that's how you're going to find the distance of both of those. Now, once we have the distances of both of them, then to find the area, you're just going to be doing area equals 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times the distance of the base, which we just found, so that'll go right here. And then whatever you find for your height, which is BD, after using the distance formula, that's going to go in for H, and then you multiply, and that will be your answer. Now on to the next part where we're graphing this. It first wants us to draw our triangle. So A was 3, 3, and B was 5, 8. Okay, let's close. Let's reach 8. 5, 8. And then C was 2, 4. And then we're going to connect it back to A. Okay, let's go ahead. Oops. Okay, now how do I get you over here? There we go. Okay, make that a little bit bigger. Now from here, it wants us to draw a perpendicular line from B to here, okay? And actually for this one, for yours, your line will extend so that this line intersects with this one, but it's not a big deal here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this line just so that we can see D. So we're going to make a point here. That'll be D, okay? So your line BD will fall somewhere in here because of how your triangle looks, but for my example it doesn't, but it's all the same. And so now what we want to do is measure a couple things. Measure the distance. So we want the distance of BD. Okay. And then we're going to move this way. Then we want the distance of AC. Okay, so that's the square root of 2 that we got using the distance formula. And this is what I would have gotten if I did the distance formula for BD as well. And let's see if we can show the equation. Okay, now in your activity, I also want you to display the slopes. So we're going to click on the slope. We got slope of BD, which is 1, m equals 1, and the slope of AC, there we go. Oh, let's move this around. -1. There we go. Now the last thing we will do is show the area here. So we're going to click on area. Click on that, 3.5. That is what we will get after we finish up finding the distance formula for both and plugging it into 1/2 base times height.